Welcome. Welcome back to Fl'AwesomeBlossom. My name is Kiki, and it is my privilege to be your host today and every day. Every day that I put an episode up. Welcome. Today's topic is going to, I think everybody can relate to this on some level. I'm going to talk about food. Yeah, that's right. I'm going to give you some food for thought and some thoughts on food. And before we begin, I want to tell you a cute little frightening story. Cute and frightening, yep, at the same time. This happened in September of 2020. You know, that was just 5 years ago, just about 5 years ago now. And if you recall, the world was in a mad panic about the COVID-19 virus, and schools had shut earlier in the year. They weren't really sure how they were going to be running school for the new year, but the elementary school near me, it opened up, and teachers were in the classroom teaching their kids, except at the school near me, with this one teacher, he was very nervous about going into the classroom with all of his students. And I don't blame him. Also, he was teaching really little ones, like I believe it was grade 1, maybe grade 2 maximum. I don't know. These look like, 6, 7-year-olds. They looked like really young kids to me. But this teacher was not in a classroom, not in a portable. No, he had his class of 20 some odd students out on the basketball court. And it was a bit of a drizzly day, but nothing too crazy. I wouldn't classify what was coming out of the sky as rain, but definitely it was a bit of light precipitation, kind of that misty mist that we're used to here in the Pacific coast. And this teacher had his class out on the basketball court, as I mentioned, and he's playing his guitar, right? Just playing his guitar. So I'm going to play my ukulele. He's trying to connect with the students. And he's asking them some questions. And first one was, hey, what season are we in? And some of the kids were answering, fall, autumn. Some blonde kid yells out, Season 5! I'm walking on by with my dogs and I just cracked right up. I'm like, yes, sir. Yes, little blonde-haired boy. We're in season 5 of whatever bullshit this is. Anyway, that's not even the story I wanted to tell you. The story I want to tell you is still this guy out there playing his guitar. Connecting. Ooh, that wasn't a G. Connecting with the students. And he asks them, who knows where their food comes from? Who knows where their food comes from? And the kids were shouting out random answers, right? The grocery store, McDonald's, my grandma brings me food. And the teacher is very happy with all of these answers. Good answer, he says to everybody who shouts out any answer whatsoever. And let's practice E minor. Then he asks, who knows what pork is? And some little girl yells out, Porky Pig. Pork is pig. I know that because Porky Pig is a pig and we eat pork and porks are pigs. And the teacher looked at her and he said, yes, Bethany, you're correct. Pork is pigs. Well done. What are chicken nuggets made out of? And someone answers chicken, and he thought that was acceptable. A. Then he asks, what's a hamburger? And there were these two cute little boys. One was blonde, the other was a brunette. And And the blonde-haired boy answers, hamburgers or cows? And the little brown-haired boy, his head just about snapped off his neck. He looks at his friend and he says, what do you mean, hamburgers or cows? And the teacher, he's just not missing any beats. He says, yes, hamburgers are made out of cows. When you are eating a hamburger, you're eating a cow. And that poor little boy with the brown hair. You know, I'm not too far away. I'm walking my dogs and I've had to stop to pick up the poop, right? But even I could tell from this far away, I could tell that that little kid was heading for a stage 1 meltdown. His little eyeballs were filling up with tears and I could see his upper lip quivering. And I was like, uh-oh, a kid's going to cry and I can't today. And so I tried to hurry up and finish my job of picking up all the dog poop. But you know, my dog, he's a wandering pooper. And there's like 12 different piles of poop I got to pick up. So I'm doing the best I can real quick. Anyway, this poor little boy. Meltdown City. Yeah. He was quite devastated to find out that hamburgers were in fact cows. And he went on to say that he's never eating a hamburger again. And, you know, by the time I managed to get myself together and get myself out of there, he had sat down on that wet basketball court and committed to having a cry. I don't blame him. I don't blame you, brown-haired boy. I was devastated when I found out that my favorite breakfast of poached eggs on toast. And I knew chickens laid eggs. I did. I knew the chickens were in charge of the eggs. What I failed to really put the puzzle piece together though, until someone pointed it out, and I was well on my way to being like 10. And they told me the egg is the unborn chicken. So I stopped eating eggs for like a decade. That little boy didn't know where some of his food was coming from. And you know what happened. He went home and he told his parents, oh my gosh, I just found out the hamburgers are cows. You know, I do remember him saying, I like cows. And you know what, buddy? I like cows too. Yeah, they're beautiful. They really, really are. Also, side note, Fanny the cow at Hopcot Meats just got a makeover and she's in her summer gear. So, you know, I'm going to check her out a little bit later. I'm going to take a video of her in her summer vibe. And, you know, we're going to put another little note on Fanny the cow and we're going to send out our meliorism into the world. I think the community should know about this cow. I think more people might visit if they knew about Fanny and how beautiful she is and just the opportunity to come see some local farm, participate in farm to table food, first of all, support your local farmer, second of all, and participate in meliorism. And just, also it's a beautiful property. They have a lovely bistro. They've got meals ready to go. They've got frozen stuff. They've got obviously an amazing meat department. But yeah, anyway, Fanny the cow, summer outfit. Stay tuned for that one. All right, back to our food. And you know, that just goes, it's like, it's hand in hand. It's not too far of a leap for me to go to Hopcots. That is one of my local farmers. And, we should be participating in more locally grown food, because what the fuck are we doing to food these days in the grocery store? Well, wait a minute. Let me rephrase that. That sentence sounded so not actually what I intended. That sounded like we were doing something to the food in the grocery store. But what I meant to say was, what's up with the food that ends up in the grocery store? Where is this really coming from? What the fuck are we doing to it when it's being grown and distributed? Because I got to tell you something pretty frightening that happened. This actually happened last year, but it could just as easily have happened last week. All right, my blooming blossoms, my darling dahlias, and mes petits choux. that's all the time that we have allotted for today. I hope that you learned a thing or two about a thing or two. And if you did, you should hit that like button. You should hit that subscribe button. And you should share this channel with someone that you love, with someone who annoys you, and with someone who you think needs just a little bit of whimsy in their life. Thank you so much for joining us today. And until next time, I hope you go out there and live your life in full Fl'awesome Blossom.